What is up, everybody? Man, the chat's already rolling because we're always late, but we're back. I jumped in here. I didn't realize these things were scheduled for 6 p.m. I just assumed they weren't, but they are. Maybe I should push that back 5 minutes. Just throwing that out there. Just let TD know if you're watching. I might do that going forward. But, man, we're back over here. We're on to the final week of the season. It's crazy that we're here this fast. It's sad. It's sad. But I think Nick's kind of excited a little bit. Nick's kind of excited because he's moved on.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, well, hey, so we're gonna go into that because y'all had a good game though this weekend though. Seattle, Chicago, what a game, competitive too, 3-point game, right down to the wire. That was football right there. So we're gonna talk about that one. Nick, though, it's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Good, man.
Happy
New Year, fellas. Baz didn't want to. He's a little scared of me this week, so he didn't want to end up joining the chat. But that's all right, because Jalen Johnson says we're beating the Packers this weekend. And I'm believing it so far. But doing well. It's a new year of Bears football, and the offseason starts in less than a week for me. So let's go.
One bar. I don't know, man. I'm glad. I'm glad you're the Vikings guy. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I just feel like because I was thinking about this. I'm like, there's gonna be some heat to this one. But I'm like, it doesn't ever get there with one bar. One bar's so chill, man. And I always feel like it's good. So I'm like, this is good. This is the week though. Like I'm expecting at some point this thing's gonna go sideways with the chat. One bar, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. It's not gonna get. There's gonna be no heat, baby. 14-2. I mean, this is what football's made for. Your boy Dan Campbell, when he was out talking yesterday, he's like, this is why people love football. This is gonna be a fantastic game, and it's gonna be a damn good game, man. I hate that it's only Wednesday. Sunday night can't come soon enough, Dion. It is gonna be fantastic. And of course, we sweep the Packers this year, and this is the only show we have no Packers rep. So shame on you guys. I don't want to see any of that GPG stuff in the comments because your boys didn't show up tonight. I won't have either.
Hey, I need my Bears fans then to put an FGB in the chat. How about that one, Bar?
We can roll that.
It doesn't have to just be Bears fans. It can be anybody.
Anybody, yeah.
I had my grandmother log on. It was a great week, man. Dion, how you doing, man? How you feeling about Sunday?
I'm with you. I'm fired up. You know what it is? It is nice, one bar, is that to know you're in the playoffs. Like, it's going to be a disaster for any team that wins 14 games and knows they have to be a wild card team. But at the same time, like, there is still that, like, you're in either way. So either way, I think there's a very likely that there's going to be a path where these two teams are playing again, regardless of who wins this one. It just feels like it's going to happen. So like, either way, I'm excited, man. But I don't know. It's weird. Like I get bad vibes from Lions fans. I don't think there's a little bit less confidence for whatever reason rolling into this one. So we'll see where the chat's at though, because I see a lot of skull in there right now. Before we get to going into last week's games, we had a lot of good games last week. Kind of. We're going to first give a shout to BetUS, man. Use code YouTube150 to get your 150% deposit match on your first deposit, 125% on the next two deposits up to $2,000. That is your sign-up bonus with BetUS if you're looking for a sports book. And one bar, I'm going to go right to you on this because I saw this today, thought it was super disrespectful. By the way, Sam Darnold's passed golf on the MVP thing, just so you know. I mean, he's plus 8,000 golf.
That a baby, Sammy.
I don't know what we're doing, all right? That's not the thing that got me mad. Omar, you got to explain this because I can't explain it. Why is Josh Allen minus 300 and golf is plus 10,000 and Sam Darnold's plus 8,000? Why is there such a gap between these guys?
I mean, I can't argue that Josh Allen, the minus 300, I'm all in. Josh Allen, I think he deserves things to get it. The plus 8,000 for Sam Darnold, is he really plus 8,000? Who's in front? Lamar? That's fair. Joe Burrow, that's fair. I'm not going to argue. I mean, the fact that Sam Darnold's even on this list is a win for me. It is a damn win. Jared Goff plus 10,000. That could be like the plus 20. There's my heat. That's the only heat I'm bringing today.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, man, it's better odds. So if you want to bet, maybe it doesn't get the plus 20,000 at this point. Look, I did this earlier. If you bet $5, you can win 500 if you bet golf on this. So I'm doing that. You know what I mean? I'm probably throwing $5 away, but I'm doing it. So shout out to BetUS, man. If you want to take advantage of a potential swing here, because I do feel like if you look at the whole resume when this is all said and done, I just feel like whoever wins this football game, if either the quarterback that wins plays really well, I don't see how they don't have a case. Like 15-2, I don't understand it. But I think we do have our Packers guys. So shout out to BetUS. We have somebody in here that's Green Bay Packers United. So how are you doing? I don't know who this is, but how you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm in for our guy with the Green Bay Packers. I just wanted to stop through and let you all know that, man, come on. The Vikings are the best team in the division, okay? The Vikings are the best team. They're gonna win it all.
Like
We
this
know
guy
that
already.
they're gonna win it all. The Lions.
The Green Bay Packers United. They're one of the best teams. What can I say?
Oh man, what's up, y'all?
TD.
What's up, TD?
Man, I'm busy. I'm busy out here, man. I just had to stop through and mess with y'all real quick. But no, listen, man, y'all have a great show. Happy New Year's to everybody. But I've been telling y'all about them Vikings, man. Good luck, Lions. I don't know. I've been telling y'all.
I do want to give a shout out to TD. He has been pounding the table all year for the Vikings, and he's been crazy right. So TD, I know are the Dolphins out of it, TD?
No, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're gonna be playing the Vikings. So that's
right.
where one bar is. That's where his love, the love he get from me, it's over. But man, I'm gonna leave y'all to it, man. I don't think Bad's gonna make it today, but salute to the Green Bay Packers. See what they're gonna do as well. I just wanted to say Happy New Year's to everybody. I'll see y'all later.
All right, dude. I was nervous letting that person in. I'm like, wait a second, dude. Who got the link? I'm like, I don't know if I should let him in the chat.
I was like, man, this guy is a goober.
I was gonna get real awkward real quick.
Yo, that was great though, TD. We appreciate you. TD, we see you backstage. How you doing, TD? TD, it's good to have you in here, man. But you saying the Dolphins thing at the end makes what you said just we don't believe you anymore. Like you had us going, and then you throw it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Now we just know you're reaching. Yeah, he left. Now he left. He left. All right, let's get right into this, man. We don't have our Packers guy, so Nick's the Packers guy too. He's gonna do both over here. But let's start with the Bears first, because Nick, there's a lot of stuff going on at Bears. There's just I feel like I think one bar can he knows where I'm coming from with this. When there's a lot of losing, there's a lot more topics. Like there's just a lot of random things that come out and you're like, this is spicy. And I'm just seeing a ton of stuff over the last couple of days. You already brought up Jalen Johnson. I want to start here first though, the offensive line. Because I did see Caleb Williams, he defended his offensive line.
Yep.
Was he right for doing that?
You know, I like that Caleb took accountability for the fact that he does hold on to the ball sometimes too long. He sometimes doesn't go through all his reads, and he doesn't hit his right guy at the right moment. Because he said, he's like, I'm nervous sometimes. Like, him saying that, I was like, wow, that takes a lot of man to get on the stage and say, like, listen, like, this is new to me. I'm getting up to speed. So yeah, he came out and defended his offensive line. He's like, those guys are working their butt offs. On top of it, too, I've had 8 different offensive lines this year due to injuries, guys being out, guys being inconsistent because they've been out. Then they come in while playing hurt, and then they come back in. So I was like, wow, that's a leader right there. And that to me, I was like, this is the future of our franchise. And the fact that he's showing leadership like that for a Bears fan, and I'm not even looking at the chat right now because people are probably like, what a loser this guy is. But at the end of the day, like, Caleb is the future. Guess you can't read.
I don't know if that's to you.
Probably. But at the end of the day, he held accountability. He did a good job at going up on the podium, talking about how he has dealt with a lot of different situations. His offensive line has done everything they can to protect him, and he has also, struggled himself this year. So it's good that he took accountability. I was proud of him for that. And he's a rookie quarterback, and that shows like that leadership side of things. And guys are going to want to play for you when you guys are showing that. So hopefully that sparked a little bit of fire, at least for the offensive line and maybe the rest of the offense, to walk into Lambeau this weekend. So that was some pretty big news that dropped today, but I did not like how Thomas Brown, our interim head coach, came in today. Someone asked, like, how much capability does Caleb have at the line to change up the plays? He has and he flat out said he has very little flexibility to do that. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of trust in your quarterback. And I think Thomas Brown knows he's probably not going to be the head coach next year. So that was pretty big news to drop right in the new year.
Yeah, Nick, I was on it. We'll get to the game here, but I felt bad. I watched it. I did feel bad. I felt bad for Thomas Brown. I felt bad because it's like they're booing and stuff, and it just, I feel like it's just too much right now. Like you get that same kind of vibe that it just feels like it's just too much for Thomas Brown right now.
I think that, so I've said this before on my show. I probably said it here a few times, but I've always said that there are guys in this league that are meant to be coordinators. And I think that Thomas Brown, his ceiling is an offensive coordinator. Sean McVay came out a couple weeks ago and was like, this guy's great. He's going to lead the guys on the field. Thomas Brown is a great leader when he's in the box, seeing the whole field. But when he's on the sideline, he is not as effective as he could be. So at the end of the day, I think Thomas Brown, I like his attitude a lot. I like what he did in that 3-week span where he was the offensive coordinator against, I think you guys all remember because we played you guys. He had a pretty good job, but I don't think he was head coach ready. The Bears, did what they did. I'm happy they did the firing, but now looking back on it, putting Thomas Brown in this position hurt him again, and he probably won't get an OC job next year. But I respect him for handling the situation the way he is, at least. I just didn't like that comment I made today. I was like, dude, that's your rookie quarterback. Don't go hating on him like that.
But Nick, I got one last thing for you. But it honestly, it looks like that, right? Like that last game against Seattle, the way that they were just blitzing like crazy, and it just felt like there was, even when they showed the replays, like I understand blame it. I found this stat, Nick. I found this on Pro Football Focus today. They say just over 19% of the pressures they would put some blame on the quarterback. Now that's the 8th most, but it wasn't like the highest. And the other guys up there are guys like Caleb that run around and move and stuff. So I'm like, okay, he's taking accountability. I appreciate that. Like you said, even if it's not on him. But you watch some of those plays, man. It just was like, dude, I don't know what he's supposed to do here. Like, if he's not having any kind of control, and they're like, hey, now we're blitzing, it's like, bro, what do you get to? It's not a hot route? Like, what are we doing? Click the triangle button. Last thing I got. No, Nick, go ahead.
No. I just wanted to throw in there but then his wide receivers, Roma Dunze, has the most drops amongst starting rookie wide receivers. He has 15 this year, which is ridiculous. And then stone cold hands Keenan Allen just can't catch anything. He had 2 first downs that he flat out just dropped. So tough stuff there. It doesn't help a quarterback's confidence. And the fact that Caleb still has over 3,300 passing yards, he has it's either a 4, it's a 4 point, what is it, 4.1? No, it's 3.8 now. It's a 3.8 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. Considering he's been sacked the most times in the NFL and what he's had to deal with this year, I still think it's really impressive.
Okay. Yeah, Nick, my last just quick question before I go to one bar here was like, hearing what Jalen Johnson, he's like, we want to end with a bang. As a fan, do you want to see them beat the Packers because this is a divisional game? Forget standings.
You got it. Yeah, you got to beat Green Bay. We haven't beat Green Bay in 11 games now. Like, the Bears they have a top 10 pick locked in. They're at 9 right now. The worst they can get is 10 mathematically. Is a 99% chance they land 10 if they beat the Green Bay Packers. There's a 1% chance they fall to like 11. But still, the Bears are going to have a really good pick. On top of it, speaking of some news, Dion, according to reports, they're saying that Ian Cunningham, our assistant general manager, might become the Colts general manager. And with that, the Bears would get 2 third-round picks, one this year, one next year. So the Bears will get another pick, and that helps them out, maybe trade up, maybe do something like that. But yeah, it's you got to beat Green Bay. You got to end the season on a win. You got to give Caleb some confidence. You can't go 4-2. I mean, we have gone 4-2, and then now we're 4-12. But you got to end with a win on the season.
And to Green Bay, just for any of the Packers fans that are listening, Green Bay, it does sound like they're going to play their starters. I don't know full game, but he's like, hey, we want to get right. And then we also know that their cornerback position, Jair Alexander, that's been something that we've monitored all year long. He might be down for the season. He just had knee surgery. He might be out for the year for them, which I'm seeing Packers fans a little concerned about that when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, chat, y'all can let me know. Packers fans in the chat, let me know how concerning is that. Scale 1 to 10, how concerning is that?
Wait, I'm the Packers guy today, right? Like,
you're the Packers guy. Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
I could throw a little bit in there.
You tell me how concerning it is that, because you're about to play this team. So tell me how Caleb's going to cook that secondary.
So Alexander was a big part of that Bears-Packers game back in week 13 or 14, whenever I think it was 13 when we played them at Soldier Field. And, we still had a good game with our wide receivers. And Thomas Brown, that was his first game as the offensive coordinator. So he knows this Green Bay defense. And not having Alexander is a big loss for Green Bay. So if I'm a Packers fan, I would be slightly concerned. But the one thing that they have for them is that the Green Bay Packers have everything else going for them, and they have that really high-powered offense. So, by the way, Dion, I need that sweatshirt. If you could send me the link for it, that'd be great.
I just noticed that sweatshirt. I don't know where the hell you got that thing, but I need it.
It's in like the Nike font too. That's sick, dude.
I'm telling you, man, it's that good. It's that, I got this immediately after the game. So that was the game we played him the first time. St. Brown rolled up the sweatshirt just like this, said Green Bay sucks. So immediately after the game, I had it sent to me. They're like, yo, we'll send that to you like overnight. So they sent it to me immediately. I'll send them out. Look, that's one of those things, man. That's a Christmas gift, man. I'll just send those out for free. If y'all want one, I'll send Bass one too. Bass wants one. If you're watching, man, we got you. I'll send you 2 of them. One bar. I'll move to you then with the Vikings right now because this is best regular season game of all time. I mean, they've hyped some up, but this one had. I mean, I've heard there's never been a game with 2 teams with 14 wins playing each other in regular season. That's crazy. So just started off. Any major injury updates we need to keep an eye on? I had people coming at me with Aaron Jones may not play. Where's that at?
No, it's Aaron Jones. I think he's a go. Patrick Jones, one of our edge rushers, dirty ass shot from the Packers tight end last week. He's going to be out with a knee injury. It sounds like they're saying that there's a chance he could play, but I doubt he's going to play. It's not a huge hit for the Vikings. We got Dallas Turner. We got some guys that'll be able to step up for him, but that's really about it. We're pretty damn healthy, man. Last time we played the Lions, we didn't have my boy Cash Money, Blake Cashman out there, or TJ Hawkinson. So this is going to be a different Viking squad.
Yo, and I was looking at some Hawkinson stuff today. He's been outstanding. I mean, the numbers say it too. These numbers are crazy. So I'll ask you that, then a quick question, because I want to go to this. You know where I'm going with the JJ McCarthy stuff. But before we get to that, just like tell the chat, like people don't know, what has Cashman changed for this team? Why is that such a big deal?
The dude is just an absolute monster. He's good against the run. He's good in coverage. When he wasn't out there, we had Ivan Pace, who is absolutely a complete liability in pass coverage, and Kamir Gajir-Hill, who is just meant to play special teams. And defenses were taking advantage. The only 2 games we've lost are when Cashman wasn't out there. And it's easy to point to that and say that's why, but that is actually a big reason why. The Rams, Lions, you guys were taking advantage of the middle of that field. And when he's out there, I mean, he can even get to the quarterback. Last week, I think he had a sack and a half. He's just Harrison Smith is the easy one to say, like, he's the leader. He's the captain of this defense. But it's Blake Cashman, man. He makes everybody around him better. And with Gibbs coming at us hot and heavy, he's going to be our boy. He's going to be our boy.
Yeah.
He's going to do some damage.
Yo, y'all made too many signings that, like, I was like, dang, man, I kind of like that guy. Like, when you guys made these moves in the offseason, because Cashman came on, that was like, who is this dude? It was with Houston, right? And he was outstanding. And then you guys scooped him up. So I assume it's going to be a lot. It's going to change a lot, I should say, because, yeah, Ivan Pace, that thing was a mess. I didn't know what the heck to expect last time we played y'all. And I was like, oh, damn, I didn't know they struggled like that. I didn't know it was going to look like that. So I want to ask you about this one, Bar. JJ McCarthy. Apparently, according to Adam Schefter, I think this was legit. Might get some calls this offseason. That doesn't mean you're going to trade him, but should you consider it? Like, is there a price point where you're like, maybe we consider this?
Well, I mean, they got to pick up the phone call. They got to pick up the phone and see what they're saying. But that price point would have to absolutely just blow their asses right off of them. I mean, here's the thing. Every year there's teams that need quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy is young as hell. I think he's just turned 22. I don't even know.
Right.
And quarterbacks are going to be needed next year too. So, like, I'm completely under the camp. Like, you don't trade him unless it is absolutely insane. And other than that, you hold on to him. You bring Sam Darnold back in some capacity, whether it's a franchise tag for a year, and say, hey, Sam, do that shit again. Prove that again. And then if he does, then you can have a discussion the following year where McCarthy gets traded. Because it's not like his trade value is going to go down. A year on the bench behind with Kevin O'Connell, with that coaching staff, with this team, is, if anything, it's just going to drive his price up a little bit. He's going to be a little more polished. And oh, damn, he's 23 years old now. So, yeah, you listen to it. You say no thanks. Call me next year. We'll trade you one of our guys. It's a great problem to have. It's a great problem to have. And I would have thought we'd be in this situation.
I just wonder, because I don't know what I don't know what the draft class looks like the year after this, but I do know that this year doesn't feel great. And I just could see a scenario where teams like, yo, whoever, I mean, I think there's gonna be guys pushed up for just no reason this year. I could see a team being like, that guy is just, people could think McCarthy's the best quarterback if you put him in this draft class. Like that could people could believe that.
I think that's very believable. I think that's 100% fair.
That's crazy. No, it's crazy. Okay, well, maybe something goes down. Probably not, though, according to one bar. Let's wait a year. Let's be patient on that.
Crazier
and then
things
maybe
happen, man.
That'd be crazy, though. That'd be crazy. So does that mean, like, just a status update with Sam Darnold? Like, anything changed there? The money amount? Where are you at with that?
I mean, it keeps going up. I mean, the fact that he swept the Packers this year. I mean, I every week I just more and more drinking that Sam Darnold Kool-Aid. If you were to ask me week 6 or whatever, week 7, I'm like, it's still a great story, or they're going to move on from him. The dude is legit, and you can point to it. Maybe it's just this Viking. He's in the perfect scenario. Kevin O'Connell's offense is perfect for him. He's got beautiful weapons. Whatever it is, it's working. And yeah, the price tag is going up. I'm just going to keep pounding the table that they just franchise him. They franchise him, and that's at that 41.5 million bucks. You give him another year. He's still only 27 years old, and then you make your decision. They're not moving on from him. I cannot see any way in hell he's not in purple next year.
No. I think that it feels like this JJ thing being maybe a thing says that exactly. Like they're not moving this. He's coming back in some way. Okay, so I think. I'll go to the Lions thing real quick. Lions fans, man, we got a good update. We talking about linebackers. I don't know if he's playing this week, but my man Duracell, Alex Anzalone, man, he's set to potentially return. Back at practice today. I was fired up to see that, man. We've been missing our linebackers really bad. It's been sad, one bar. It's been a little bit sad, man. Every week we're trying to figure out who's playing linebacker. And hey, man, I appreciate those guys, man. They've gotten better, but Alex Anzalone just has that fire to him. He plays with that energy, and you can feel those guys as a fan. Like there's certain guys that just stand out when you watch them. You're like, that dude maybe he took something before the game. I don't know, but that's Alex Anzalone, man. You can see it through the screen. So we might be going the right direction of getting him back. Outside of that, though, that's the biggest thing. Kylie Freeman could also be in play. He's back and practicing again, so he could be in play. That's mainly for special teams. That's probably where we'll notice him the most. But outside of that, we're kind of in the same spot. And then just hopefully nothing with Jack Campbell, who was limited today. Hopefully there's nothing with Meek Robertson, who was limited today, because those guys become crucial with all the injuries around him. So with that, I'll leave it there unless there's anything else you guys want to hit on, and then we'll go to these recaps. Y'all ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, let's start with game of the week. Honestly, some people call this game of the year. Nick knows where we're going with this. Seattle, Chicago, what a game. 6-3. You know, it's Nick, I don't remember what the score was at halftime, but it may have been 6-3 at halftime. Was it 6-3 at halftime? I think it was.
I'm just confirming it is 6-3 at halftime. So nothing happened in the second half.
So we turned it on in the second half, and it was like, oh man, it's 6-3. Like it's gonna be some points. There was no points. It was a disaster, but it was actually a competitive game. Like in its own ugly way, it was a competitive game. And I'm sitting there watching, like, dang, I probably should have took the Bears this week. Like it just felt like you guys were gonna find a way to win that football game. I'll be honest. Seattle looked like a complete mess. It was just the offense for the Bears. It was like maybe they have like one play, but outside of that, it was just no kind of consistency at all. And I just couldn't help but kind of like the conversation we had before. And I'm just like, I felt bad for Brown at the end when he called the timeout. And then he's like, "Oh, we're going for it." And then it worked. I was happy. I was sitting there cheering. No lie, I was clapping. I was like, "Thank goodness for this guy." I'm happy that this is working out because it's been a mess. This is a lot to put on the dude's plate. And their offensive line, Nick, you know this better than I do. It just looks like a mess. Like you've said it over and over. They built the wrong way. And I'm watching that. I feel bad because it's a 4th and short. He goes for it. He converts. And then the drive just stalls out. And then, Caleb's getting fired up on the field. It's just not working. And now you're telling me that he doesn't have control at the line of scrimmage. It makes sense why it puts it all together. It's like, yeah, dude, if you have a defense and you have a defensive-minded coach over there in Seattle with really good players on that side, you got a defense that can move around and show you different looks to a young quarterback that doesn't have any answers up front. It's like, this is going to turn messy really fast. And that's what it turned into. So it's like, we're not getting to see any of this talent. You're talking about the drops. That's a problem. But you're not getting to see as much as that's there. And it's just there in flashes right now. Like, Nick, tell me how you felt about this game, but how do you get this thing right? Like, what's the thing that needs to happen to change this?
So to start things off, you guys know I'm Mr. Positive. Like, I'm actually very proud about how this defense played because walking into the game, Seattle had the 5th best overall offense from a yardage perspective, and they were 4th from a passing perspective. And they shut Geno Smith down, only 160 yards. Tyreek Stevenson DJ Metcalf couldn't do anything against this team. And it was good to see. Tyreek Stevenson had a lot to prove. In the last couple of weeks, he's actually been playing a little bit better. Especially, after the Commanders game, that dude was trying to be ran out of Chicago. So, this game, obviously no points in the second half, no offensive touchdowns. Shout out Cairo Santos for being our lone points. But for a 6-3 game against a team that's fighting for a playoff spot at home on Thursday Night Football, where you have 2 third-string offensive linemen in there going against a super tough defense, like you were saying, Dion, pretty darn impressive if you ask me. The offensive line, though, yes, they had their struggles. Like, you go look at the team stats. They gave up 7 sacks, and that's 2 of them were Caleb's fault, but 5 sacks still that weren't Caleb's fault because of the pressure they were under. Along with that, 3 false starts on your 3rd string left guard, excuse me. Like, absolutely ridiculous. You're missing Tevin Jenkins. Braxton Jones wasn't playing either. You had Larry Borum in there, who's not going to be on this team anymore after this year. Coleman Shelton's one of the worst centers in football. The only guy that was actually doing anything was Darnell Wright, and Darnell Wright, who's been our lone bright spot on this offensive line, did a really good job at not allowing 1 pressure or 1 sack from the right tackle position, at least. Everyone else, the floodgates were wide open for Caleb. The Bears did score 2 touchdowns in this game. One was called back, the Kyler Gordon strip fumble that ended up being a score, which I mean, depending on how you look at the replay, it looked clean. But at first, it was considered a touchdown. And then they brought it back, and everyone's like, it was a very close call. It depends on the officiating crew, depending on where it would have gone. But Caleb, I mean, this dude was running for his life, and he threw an Air Jordan type touchdown, leg spread, threw it on a dart to Rome Odunze, and Rome caught it, and it looked awesome. And of course, called back because our third string our left guard holding call. All again, 3 of the 4 penalties were on him, and then another one was on Larry Borum. Excuse me. 1 was on Larry Borum. 3 was on the left guard. So it was just absolutely ridiculous. It was Jake Curran, who was a former Seahawk, ironically. But this team, I mean, you look at the stats, only 179 yards of offense, 76 total passing yards. Caleb's running through his life. His 339 pass in a row streak came to an end of no interceptions. Impressive by a rookie. And all things considered, with that bad of an offensive line, to not throw an interception in 9 games in 330 plus passes, really impressive. I mean, Caleb did everything he could to try to get this game going. DeAndre Swift has had no help this year on the offensive line. He's actually having a pretty decent season overall. But at the end of the day, the Bears just couldn't get things going on this. I mean, DeAndre Swift, I just want to call out his stats real quick because I think it's underappreciated what he's done, considering he went from a really good Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, a really good Detroit Lions offensive line, and he still has 894 rushing yards. He could break 1,000 yards if he has a really good game against the Packers somehow. He does have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. But in this game, the defense was locked down, going over to the defensive side of the ball. The defense was locked down in every single category. We were getting a ton of pressure on Geno Smith. We brought in that kid from Green Bay. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. I'm looking it up real quick for you guys. Jonathan Ford, who Baz even said was a really good player to bring in. He was a beast. I mean, he's been a beast for the Bears. In 3 games, he has 12 tackles and 4 quarterback hits with a sack and a half. Like, that was a big plus for the Bears. And, Eric Washington, who's gotten a ton of heat from Bears fans, from media for playing soft zone defense, he switched it up. He listened, and he was like, all right, a learning experience for him against Geno Smith, who, again, is the 4th highest passing yard quarterback in the NFL entering that game. Overall, the game was frustrating because of the fact that there was bad timeout calls at the end. They weren't trusting Caleb at the line. They started using Caleb to rush it outside himself. And the thing is that he doesn't want to do that, or he doesn't look like he wants to do this, because he gets hit every single time. And he's only gotten 1 late hit call on him this year. So the kid's getting absolutely drilled every single game, and he's going to get drilled trying to get a first down because his offensive line can't help out his running back. It was just overall frustrating. But the game itself, 6-3, boring, but intense at the same time. Everyone was in it the entire game. I will say that the Bears should have won this game. I'm happy they lost this game from a draft perspective, but here's what I'm tired about as a Bears fan, is that for the last 3 years under Ryan Poles, under Ian Cunningham, and Eberflus until he was fired, the Bears have encouraged a losing culture to get better picks. But then you have guys like Pete Carroll, who's been linked to the Bears as a potential next head coach, who in Seattle never lost more than 7 games, never had a pick higher than 13, and he's still putting out good talent. So the Bears need to stop with this losing culture mentality. They need to play for themselves, play for the fans, start winning some ball games and learning how to win again in order to get things done. I want to give just a shout out to players of the game, like TJ Edwards, a dog for us. I mean, he was an absolute steal in free agency. Really happy we got him. But, Caleb himself too, 122 passing yards, 37 rushing, but he had nothing to work with. And at the end of the day, Bears lost this game, didn't score an offensive touchdown, didn't score a touchdown at all. But it was overall good to see that the Bears were competitive against a team fighting for a playoff spot. But it's a losing season, and, we'll take what we can get. Just overall frustrating game. But we got Green Bay this weekend, so hopefully we play with a little bit more fire.
Hey, that was good, Nick. That was good. I liked it. I thought you were gonna go real crazy at the end there about the losing culture kind of deal. That it is about. I like where you started. You know what I mean? But that was good. That was good. I thought you were gonna go crazy there for a second. I was like, okay, here we go.
It's taken everything in me right now to not go crazy, but I know the fact that there is big changes coming. I mean, Dion, we're probably gonna talk about it on Friday's show. But I mean, like I can just casually hit on it now. Like, Tom Pelissero coming out and saying that Ben Johnson is very intrigued by the Bears' job. Like, that's a big thing for Caleb. And also, I would love if he brought Anton Randall L with him as his offensive coordinator because, local Chicagoland kid, also Super Bowl hero for the Steelers. I think that there's a lot of hope for this team. As fans and as what we're seeing in the media and kind of just what people are saying on my page too, is we just want this. We want this offseason. You got $82 million in cap. If Ian Cunningham leaves, you have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. There's hope, but you got to get this thing right. And we got to stop encouraging a losing culture.
Nick, before we go to these super chats, just give me like a percentage kind of here. Like, what percentage of the blame would you put on the head coach and the coaching staff specifically, because you're talking about Ben Johnson and how much that could fix it, versus the ability to acquire talent? Because, like, you bring up Ford, and he's been a nice piece, as you touched on, but then you're talking about a lot of these offensive linemen, these backups, and I don't know how many of them you actually scooped up during the year, if any, but, like, just like those kind of pieces, the guys where you have to go out and you just have to find someone that can kind of just get by. Like for example, the Vikings went out, made the quick trade, brought the left tackle in. Cam Robinson is like, oh man, they're doing okay. Like I thought that was going to be a major issue. How much? Where would you place the blame? Like percentage wise, more coach, more on the GM and the ability to bring in talent.
I put a lot of blame on Ryan Poles, and I have always been a Poles guy. It's been really hard to support him, though, because he built this team half-assed backwards. Like, you always build the trenches first. And both of you guys know very well, like, when you guys built your teams to where they are at 14-2, you guys address the trenches. And if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, you can't protect your quarterback, nothing's going to happen. So a lot of it falls on Poles. But I do give action. So I would say if you gave me 100%, if you gave me a split, I would put 45% on Ryan Poles. I would put 5% on the players, but then 4% on the players, and then I put 51% on the coaches, because coaches are supposed to help develop players. This is a very young ball club, and they're supposed to evaluate talent. And Chris Morgan, our offensive line coach, has not done anything with this offensive line in 3 years. Darnold Wright's a top 10 pick. The reason why he's a top 10 pick, he was already developed. He was NFL ready when the Bears brought him in as right tackle. He's the best right tackle we could have gotten 2 years ago. And the Bears did that. But Tevin Jenkins didn't develop him anymore. Braxton Jones, we haven't developed him at all. Coleman Shelton. The Bears addressed a lot of like Matt Pryor, Jake Curran, Coleman Shelton, Larry Bohr, all either late round picks or they were acquired late into free agency last year. And there was a few that it was slim pickings in free agency last year. But instead, the Bears spent their money and their picks on Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift. None of those guys are going to work if their quarterback isn't protected, or DeAndre Swift's not going to be able to work out. So I put a lot of blame I put 51% of the blame on the coaches because they didn't have good game plans. They weren't able to develop players. And also Matt Eberflus hired this assistant staff. He had every opportunity to get rid of Chris Morgan and get a better offensive line coach. He had every opportunity to go out and get different coaches. And the only coach that he brought in that was good from an offensive side is Thomas Brown. But Thomas Brown is not a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. And in 3 games, he had over 1,100 yards against NFC North, the toughest division in football. And he did that against some pretty tough defenses. Caleb got going. Caleb's best 3-game stretch was under Thomas Brown as offensive coordinator. So it's on the coaches because you're putting guys in positions that they shouldn't be in as assistants. And also there was no development from an offensive side of the ball because Matt Eberflus was too focused on the defense. So that's kind of where all my and then the players, like, DJ Moore looks pissed to be out there. Like, the guys don't look as confident as they should be. These guys should be saying what they want to say. And then Cole Kmet earlier in the season goes to Shane Waldron when he was our offensive coordinator and says, hey, we need to develop this team. You need to coach us. And since then, he hasn't said anything, apparently. So it does fall on the players, especially the leaders, the captains on this team. So it's kind of where the blame ends. It's spread out amongst the 3 categories, but definitely most of it falls on the coaches.
Well, Nick, this is this feels necessary after that. I mean, this is where we're at. We got you.
Feels good up here, man. You know what? I love it. In a draft order, this is correct. This is absolutely correct right here.
Now,
no, I love it.
Hey, let me give a shout out to a few of these super chats, man. We got Ed in here who says, Nick, who of the 3 NFC North teams screams one and done? What do you think, Nick?
Who in the playoffs this year? I think Green Bay is going to get eliminated in the first round. Too many injuries. And that's not because Baz isn't here, but I think they're one and done. Okay. No hesitation there. Like you guys said, I think that honestly, it's going to be Vikings, Lions, NFC Championship.
Be amazing. It'd be amazing. I'm here for it. Hey, is BetUS legit? BetUS is lit. Shout out to BetUS, man. Use the code YouTube150 if you're gonna use it, man. We appreciate you though, Funny Boy Rody. We see you. Is Funny Boy Rody a Vikings guy? One bar.
I hope so. I've never seen the name.
Oh, that's a Bears guy. That's
Deep
a Bears
down
guy.
he
Nick.
is. I can feel
Is
it.
he?
I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, he might be a Lions guy. Hold up. That's my, hey, my
Packers
bad.
guy, I know that.
Well, that's true. Hey, appreciate you with the 499. And then my man Ed again with the 199 says Lions got hosed versus Minnesota on a fumble 6 like y'all. Okay, this must have been a response to something, I'm assuming, but I don't know exactly. But we appreciate you, Ed. And that fumble 6 was that was tough. I'm glad we won that because I would have been so sad if we would have lost the game on that goofiness, man. But anyways, let's go to that game. Let's go to that one. Let's go to the Vikings because the Vikings beat the Packers, and I've never been more disappointed in the Packers. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a thing. You know, look, man, I thought the Vikings could win the game, but I was like, okay, we're gonna have some here. And the first drive, Josh Jacobs fumbles. I usually don't think this way. I was like, oh, they lost this football game. Like, you can't leave point. It's just a different animal. The Vikings aren't like a good team. This team has 13 wins coming into it. Like, you can't fumble. If you're going to go do something like this and beat a good team, because that's what we were all waiting for. I think everybody outside the division, where I have like a rooting interest for real in that game, everybody's looking at it like, yo, we want to see them beat one of the best teams. Like, are they that team? Because some people think they're the sleepers. And they go out there and they fumble the first drive, and it's like, dude, you can't do that, man. You got to play a clean game if you're going to go win in Minnesota like they were trying to. And that game was just super disappointing. I mean, 60 passing yards, 3 quarters. You know, it was the big thing that stood out to me because the first half, they didn't come away with points. You got the fumble, you had a turnover on downs, and then they also had I don't even know what that other one was. They had something else too. The point is this, okay? Every drive from Minnesota felt long. And that's felt what it turned into is like outside of the interception for Minnesota in the very end where they had a holding call, which would have been another first down, every drive was at very least 4 minutes. It's like they may not score, but they're gonna have a long drive. And it just limited Green Bay's possessions. It made me think back to when the Lions played the Bears, Nick, on Thanksgiving, and we talked about that post game. And it's like there just wasn't a lot of possessions in that one. It was like the Bears got into it because we just left points out there. It's like it may not look bad, but if you don't come away with something, they can get back into this game because we just don't have the ball enough. And that's what it felt like in this game. It's like, dude, the Packers aren't going to have the ball enough to win this football game because the drives are too long and they couldn't get off the field. So I walked away impressed with Minnesota's offense. I hate it because now we got to play that team, and they've looked good for weeks on end now. They look good every week offensively. Dude, there was no answer for Justin. I mean, I'm watching it. I was just like, I was mad because I'm like, bro, I wanted to win this dang thing now. Like, I get the energy. I'm here for it. But dang, I wanted to win this now if we could. Like, I'd rather just be like, oh, no, we're resting this week, guys. But now I can't because I'm watching the Packers. They're just getting toasted on one side and the flip side. They can't throw the football at all. So just a disaster of a football game. Green Bay, this is why the hoodie's for you today, Green Bay. This is my last opportunity. This is for you, Green Bay. You're not winning the playoff game. I'm right with you, Nick. A little bit of a rant. One bar. I'll go to you, though. You guys handled business. You're up 27-10, and you won 27-25. You let him back into the game. Were you worried at all? And how'd you feel about the game?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously you got a little worried there at the end, but like we've beaten the Packers twice this year. Your hoodie is 100% correct. They do suck. They can't beat any good teams. Look at the teams they've lost to. That's why, Nick, I think you're right. I think they are going to be one and done in the playoffs, regardless of who they play. But both games, if you break it down, we've dominated the Packers probably 90% of the time. It's the end. We just let them scoot back into this thing. Jordan Love looked horrible. Packers defense that has been, to me, it looks like they've been coming on lately. They weren't really doing much of anything. We were holding their defensive line in check, which is a big win. I mean, the offensive line for the Vikings is decent. It's not above average by any means. I mean, Brian O'Neill's doing his thing. Cam Robinson's doing his thing. Interior offensive line has just not been great. But Sam Darnold, Sam the man is just, the dude is on a whole nother level right now. It's weird as hell. Like watching him, even like guys are behind him. He's got eyeballs everywhere around his head. He knows where it is. He knows where the pressure's coming. He knows exactly where to move, and he throws that thing. And he's been on point. He had an ugly interception. Yes, it was disgusting. He's still probably good for one of those throws a week. It's just a matter if they take advantage of it. The Packers took advantage of it. But Sam owns the Packers. He owns it. I don't know if they still sell those certificates where you can pretend you own part of the team, but Sam Darnold needs to get one of those things for free. They should be mailing him one of those. But it was a great game. You said the Packers, they just didn't have the ball enough. They could have had the ball probably 7 more times in the first 3 quarters. They weren't doing jack shit. It wasn't going anywhere. It was that last quarter where they finally stepped on. And the thing is, watching the Packers, they were just like defeated. Like you're watching Jordan Love, he's got his towel on his head. It's only like the second quarter. Jacobs fumbles. He looked like he was about to cry. Matt LaFleur just whining, pissing, and moaning the whole time. I remember when we played the Titans, that head coach was just whining the whole time. Matt LaFleur, I've never seen him whine so much, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. To beat the Packers in our stadium, we've done that. I saw a tweet before the show. We've done it 3 times, 2-0 in the last. Every time we've done that, it was 2017 went to the NFC Championship, 2009 NFC Championship, in 1998. So we did it this year, man. NFC Championship game. Granted, we never won any of those games.
Yeah,
but it's a good sign, baby. It's a good sign. But defensively, the Vikings played damn well. That Josh Jacobs fumble was Jerry Tillery. Our defensive line, when you look at the names, yep, there it is. Look at that. That's a grown man. That is a grown man doing that right now. When you look at the defensive line, you see Jonathan Bullard, you see Jerry Tillery. Like, these aren't names that get you excited, but they've been playing good. They've been playing good. They're doing a lot of dirty work up front, and that's why we're one of the best against the run, which will be huge coming down the line. But it was huge. It was so beautiful. I mean, there was so much in this game, not only to beat Green Bay, to sweep them this year, but also to force this game, which we're about to have on Sunday against the Lions. Momentum is very, very high for the Vikings. The best part about that offense is, I mean, whether it's Justin Jefferson, whether it's Jordan Addison, even Jalen Naylor was getting into it this week. Naylor has been pretty up and down. I've been pretty hard on that guy. He's had some pretty brutal drop passes, but Jalen Naylor showed up, balled out. TJ Hawkinson on third downs. And this is all with the Vikings really not even having a perfect game. I mean, that interception, we had some bad penalties. Will Reichard was missing a couple field goals. Like, if I were to see those numbers and not know the score, I'd say, all right, Green Bay took care of us. They probably won by 7-10 points. But we still took care of business. So huge win. It was one of the biggest games of the season up until next week when we got the Lions, and they did it. KOC is the man. Everybody's giving Sam Darnold crap because they were celebrating so much in the locker room. Like they won the Super Bowl, lifted him up. Man, do that every week. He deserves it. He deserves it, man. Dan Campbell's crying after every game. Why can't we lift up our quarterback? Who cares? We're enjoying it. It's a great season. Let's go.
Hey,
fired up.
Was it okay? But I might be remembering wrong. Was it on the Vikings where they were called for the low block flag or whatever? Was that against the Vikings that kind of set the Packers up?
Harrison Smith had a low block, which was, and I'm not a guy who complains too much about the refs or whatever. It was a pretty brutal call. Harrison Smith, he went into his chest and they called it a low block. Yeah. And then that's why I get so annoyed by the tight end. I think it was Kraft who cut Patrick Jones down. And they didn't throw a flag. It's just like, what is going on? But yeah, it was that. But it went both ways. That offsides on the field goal for the Packers. They called it on Cooper. It's a crazy call. I mean, I liked it. Will Reichard got another shot and put that puppy right down the middle. But there was bad calls both ways. So it wasn't the cleanest game. Vikings had time of possession. They killed it. All without Aaron Jones getting going. So the main takeaway is Sam Darnold. The dude is in on another level right now. And with that Detroit defense next week, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can put up.
All right, Nick, what'd you think about this game?
Dude, I mean, I was a little nervous when they started letting Green Bay back in, but I was going to bring up the photo about LaFleur on the sideline. Come on, man. That's all I got to say. And also on top of it, beautiful. It was beautiful. No, I'm not saying it wasn't beautiful, but come on, man. The one thing that I want to call, it's great photo. Just literally make that the thumbnail of this.
That's when Jaden Reed dropped that first down. That's what that was. Jaden Reed dropped the first down. That would have. I don't know if that was on fourth or whatever, but that.
I like the guy in the background that's just looking with the other face in the back left. That's
disgusting.
Amazing. No, I'll make this short and sweet. Green Bay. This is why Green Bay is a first round exit. They can't. They had their opportunities and they just couldn't get it done. Green Bay just didn't look like they were confident. They looked better at the end, but at the end of the day, Minnesota just truly is a better team. And I want to call out what Lumbar was saying too, and this is my last comment on the game because, again, I'm just happy that the Packers lost, is that if you're going to sell it, you're celebrating a season where the expectation, we had one bar being last in the division, and Sam Darnold is leading a team to being 14-2. and like having them in the Super Bowl conversation, raise that guy up. Let him celebrate. You're 14-2. Like, people are just mad. Packers fans are just mad because like they have nothing else to talk about right now. So, like, shout out to the Vikings, man. What a season it's been. Like, I'm absolutely cheering them on. I mean, I'm cheering on everybody that isn't the Packers. But man, like, come on now. That was awesome. Yes, Dion, I'm cheering on the Lions too. But
I was gonna ask for this weekend.
I just said everybody.
Who you cheering for this weekend?
On Friday. We're gonna get it on Friday.
Okay, you're right.
But yeah, man, just a great game. Shout out to Sam Darnold. That guy deserves a big payday from whoever. And I think if Minnesota gets rid of him, it's a huge mistake.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to William with the $9.99. We appreciate you, William. Don't know if there's a message here or not. I don't know. Sometimes it does that, but I appreciate you, William. You know what I mean? If you have something, throw it in the chat. Okay, we'll go on to the last one then. This was Lions-Niners. Game that didn't mean anything, like standings-wise, but we played everybody. And that's another part of the reason that I was really hoping the Green Bay game went like it did, because he laid it out like early in the week. Like, yeah, we're playing our starters. We're bringing everything we got to San Fran. Like, all right, that's what I expect. He did the same thing last year. Like, this is what Dan Campbell does. It doesn't have to matter. He's going to play. Like, we're playing. So it's like, okay, we're going to play. So I was really hoping that like it would have had those kind of stakes on the line, because once you get to that point where you see that the Vikings won the game, it's like, dude, there's a day. Is he really going to shut everybody down? No, Dan Campbell's not going to do that. He's already invested. He's into it. We're playing everybody. So it's like, all right, we're going for this. And as soon as the game started, like, I loved it, because it felt like a playoff atmosphere versus a team that's not in the playoffs anymore, and a team that wasn't playing to move in the standings at all. It felt like a playoff game. And I think the big thing for me was like, it feels different because I think there's a history now the Lions have built with these teams. Like, there's at least something there to grab on. Like, in the past, there wasn't really a history. It's like, oh, maybe you pull the upset. There's some surprise, or they're coming along. They're beating teams now. And it's like, okay, there's something there. But now that they have a history against this team, like there's meaning to it. And obviously the 49ers I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers look terrible this weekend. They just look terrible. I think they just wanted this more than anything. They wanted to go win this football game. They were tired of hearing about the Lions, and they know what they did last week, so they knew that we were starting everybody. We saw the Fred Warner clip, so I was fired up for it. And this game was scary as heck on defense. You know what got me one bar is like when you get to, I remember we played Seattle a couple years ago, and they scored like, it felt like every possession. And there was like a point in the game, like, all right, what are they going to do? They're not going to score every possession. They scored every possession one more. Every possession they scored. I said that, I'm like, man, I was thinking that watching this game, like, I don't want to say that out loud. I feel like at some point there's going to be a stop here, but if I say that, we might not get a stop. And I don't want to see that take place. So it was good that they found a way to settle in and change some things up, because I always give Kyle Shanahan respect. I know it's not the same offense. I know they're dealing with some things, but this dude, he's smart, man. They should not let that guy go, because Chicago might scoop him up, and I'd rather not have to deal with that. Personally, I'd rather not have to deal with Kyle Shanahan, Nick, because that guy is a super smart offensive mind, man, and he came with everything for that one. And it was cool, man. It was back and forth. Lines weren't holding back. It wasn't like they were like, let's play vanilla. We were throwing trick plays at him as well. And the offense, to me right now, the biggest reason for optimism for me is clearly the passing attack. I think it's as good as it's been with Jared Goff. I think it's the most well-rounded the receiving core has been, and I think he's playing the best football. So, just like right up there with Sam Darnold, that's why I believe like there's no reason that if either of these quarterbacks had a massive game, whoever wins this game, they should have a real case to say I'm the MVP. They should be right up there with everybody else, because they have the record, they have the stats, they have everything that goes along with it, and even especially for the Vikings, because they didn't have the expectations to tie there. But that was my big takeaway. The offense was great. The defense found a way. It was scary early. There's still a lot of things that got to get better, and hopefully Alex helps cleans that up. But honestly, at this point, we kind of know who we are, and I don't think that Kyle Shanahan, when he's got his mindset to it, is the type of guy where it's like you're going to hide things. He's going to expose the heck out of your weaknesses immediately, and I'm just glad we were able to settle into that. So one bar watching this game, were you rooting for the Niners? Did you care, like, because you knew it didn't mean anything? Like, where were you at with this one?
No, I actually wanted the Lions to win. I don't need no pissed off Lions team losing to the Niners coming out at us. So and yeah, I mean 14-2 against 14-2. No, I actually wanted the Lions to win. I was surprised how close it was. I knew there would be points there, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad. I mean the 49ers. I mean some of those numbers that they put up. Did the Niners punt?
Did they punt? They did. I don't know if they did.
I'm checking for you guys.
Once?
They punted. No punts. There. No punts by either team.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like the Lions offense, Dion, you said it all. Like that is going to be their bread and butter. They can put up points against really anybody, and when you can put up that many points, you are going to be able to overcompensate for everything you got going on defense. It's just when those mistakes actually do happen, and they will happen. The Lions offense played perfect football. They played perfect football, man. You can't do that week in and week out. You can't do that week in and week out. They played perfect football and didn't beat the Niners by as much as they should have. So like watching this game, the offense, it's scary. It's scary to think come Sunday, it is gonna be a coin flip, man. No spoiler alert for Friday's show, but like any team can win this thing. There should be a ton of points, and this game just kind of solidified it. Like if Ricky Pearsall is putting up $140, like what's Justin Jefferson gonna do, man? What's Jordan Addison gonna do? What's TJ Hawkinson gonna do? Shit, Jalen Naylor might put up $140 if Ricky Pearsall is putting up that. Brock Purdy throwing for 370 yards. I mean, the Vikings should be able to do some damage on this Lions defense. They should be able to do it, man. But the Lions, like I said, their defense is going to be a huge liability. I'm not breaking news there. I hope your linebacker wants to take another week or two off, just get real right for the playoffs. And this offense, it's huge. And those damn trick plays, like watching them continuously work is annoying as hell, man. It's annoying as hell. One of those got a backfire.
Hey, I was told at one point we've ran too many trick plays. They're gonna stop working, but one bar they don't stop working. But it feels at some point like someone's gonna do something dumb, and it's like, oh my goodness, just don't let it be this weekend. We can do that in the playoffs. Don't let it be this weekend. But I do. Two questions. First off, when you guys played San Fran this year, what was the score? I don't remember the score of that one. And then my second question would be, like, when you're watching this and you're seeing the Lions, and you said that you think they should have won by more, like. Maybe like what would that have looked like? Maybe that you would have been like, okay, this looks like scary, because right now you're confident. That's what I'm getting out of you, One Bar. You believe in yourself right now. You believe in the Vikings right now. You think you're the better team. That's what I'm drawing from what you're saying. It's wrong, but I hear what you're saying. So I'm just like, what do we need to? You know what I mean?
The liabilities on that defense. What gives me hope is what the Niners did to your defense. I don't think the Niners are very good. I've never been a Brock Purdy guy. Like I don't think they should have. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it gives me hope. As far as the Vikings-Niners score, I don't even remember it.
Not that one. I think I don't know if this is right or not, but that's
right. But watching the game, like Jahmyr Gibbs is the biggest thing that will give me the biggest heartburn, the biggest concern on Sunday. Like Montgomery being out, it's a big old blow, I know, for you guys, but I actually wish he was even playing. Like, I want more Montgomery, less Gibbs. That dude is going to be a severe issue, but that's where Blake Cashman comes in.
I thought, One Bar, I thought about you this week when thinking about the Gibbs thing, because like Gibbs, they pulled back a little bit this week in terms of carries, but like we're watching him like become the guy, and he's taken off these last couple weeks. And I thought about that. I'm like, man, in a 1-game format, like obviously you don't want this for the season, but like in a short span, if you're like for one game, would you rather like it's not always the worst thing to be like, yeah, we kind of got to lean on Gibbs this week. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it actually might work better, to your point. And watching that last game against Niners, it was like, man, he is cooking this defense. So One Bar, I hope that comes true, man. I hope he goes for 120 against y'all as well on 18 carries. We can we could pull it back a little bit because he'll go crazy in that game. Because I know they're going to try to run the ball. And we threw it 25 times last time we played you guys. Nick, what was your takeaway from this game?
Yeah, intense. I've been saying it for a while, but this was a fun game to watch. And like at 40-34 is a crazy score. But on top of it, my biggest thing right there is that, like you were kind of saying, Dion, Kyle Shanahan now 6-10. Who knows if he's going to stay in San Fran? And we said at the beginning of the show, when a lot of things are happening, there's a lot of talking points, there's a lot of things that can happen. Let's say the Bears make it happen. Let's say the Bears go out and Kyle Shanahan's on the market. Like, you have Ben Johnson out there, Kyle Shanahan, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel. Would love that opportunity. But going back to this game real quick, I thought it was crazy that there were no punts. So obviously that's always a good thing. But you look at the third down efficiency from both teams. Detroit 9 for 14, and then San Fran 5 for 8. 23 first downs by San Fran total, but they had less plays than Detroit. You look at the sacks, both teams had 2 sacks. I mean, honestly, Detroit had over almost 10 minutes more possession, and San Fran still stayed in this thing. And Jared Goff, this guy has to be the MVP conversation still. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 303 yards, not bad. But I think Gibbs is the better running back for Detroit. I mean, I love David Montgomery, but that guy just had himself a game against a pretty tough San Francisco defense. But Brock Purdy too, man. I mean, 3 touchdowns, but Detroit's defense showed up with those 2 picks. was super big. I thought it was a great game. I would have loved to maybe this have been a playoff matchup because it felt like that's what the energy was. But San Fran, like, Shanahan obviously knows that he has to win and he has to hold himself accountable, but he might be looking for a new job. So I was rooting for Detroit big in this one because I was like, oh man, that would stink if the Niners got rid of him. And what's the biggest, most attractive market he can come to? So anyway, good game overall. Happy that Detroit pulled it off because it's making this upcoming weekend that much more exciting.
Nick, I get it. I understand where your rooting interest was in this game. I thought about that. I'm like, man, they better not go hire this dude because he brought this up a couple weeks ago. Sitting here watching this game and all this foolishness they're throwing out there, and it's like, what is this stuff, man? Kyle Shanahan, you need to calm down. Bears better not go make that happen because y'all got the weapons. Like if you threw a guy like that, I don't know. I just feel a quick turnaround. I think that's like one of the way. Like, how do you get a quick turnaround? Hire Kyle Shanahan. I think we'll turn around quickly. Go trade for Kyle Shanahan. Hey, Nick, real quick before we get out of here, man, because you guys got to tune in back on Friday. We're gonna do our previews here in a second. Shout out to everybody that's joined. Would you consider trying to trade for a coach? Like if it took like a draft pick to go with Kyle Shanahan, would you be on board with that?
For Shanahan, yeah. I think Shanahan's worth it. 4 NFC championships, 3 Super Bowl appearances. Like, come on. Like, you can't say no to that. That's what's up. So
he's got the stats. All right, we see you. Well, hey man, we're gonna leave it there. Shout out to Nick, man. He's in the top left today. This is the final week of the season.
I am number 1. What can you do?
this is it, Nick. I mean, I guess that was probably it. But anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. Excited for Green Bay, Chicago this upcoming weekend. Stay tuned for Friday's episode for the full breakdown.
Yes, sir. One bar. You got anything?
Can't wait for Sunday. Nick, beat the piss out of the Packers. And I'm going to look for one of those Green Bay Sucks hoodies. I need it now. I want to see through one.
All right. Well, hey, we'll have the links in the chat, man. We'll send the links around, man. Hey, YouTube 150, that's the code. Shot to Bet US sponsoring today's live stream. And we'll see you over there on Friday, man. So tune into that one because this is the big week. We got 2 in-division matchups. So this will be short and sweet. We'll see y'all over there. Have a great new holiday, man. I mean, not new holiday, new year. What
Happy New Year.
2025, man. We're out.